This is BRICS Global Television Network's weekly roundup. We begin with the headlines. South Africans eagerly await results of the 7th democratic elections. Iran focuses on presidential elections at the end of June following the death of President Ibrahim Raisi. Brazil's flood-ravaged Rio Grande do Sul facing a new crisis as waterborne disease claims at least 5 lives. And we take a look at some of the rising stars from the Indian Premier League. Hello, I'm Juliet Newell. BRICS Plus member countries, India and South Africa's elections have concluded. South Africans cast their votes on Wednesday with around 27 million eligible to vote. In the coming days, BGTN will bring you the results and analysis on the country's most crucial elections since the dawn of democracy 30 years ago. In India, meanwhile, vote counting will likely take a few days after 6 weeks of balloting and a total of around 1 billion eligible voters. In Iran, following the death of President Ibrahim Raisi in a helicopter crash, the focus now shifts to the upcoming June 28th elections for his successor. Raisi, an ultra-conservative with over a year left in his term, perished in the May 19th crash alongside his former minister and 6 others. Conservatives aim to appoint a loyalist to Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. The lead-up to the vote has attracted candidates from various parties, raising questions about the vetting process in the Islamic Republic. Economic challenges persist due to reimposed sanctions, post-US withdrawal from the 2015 nuclear deal, and anti-government protests. Khamenei appointed Mohammad Mokhtar as interim president with speculations of his candidacy. Notable contenders include former nuclear negotiator Saeed Jalili, moderate Mohammad Javad Zarif, and centrist Ali Larijani. Former President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad's candidacy is uncertain, pending country developments. To Rio Grande do Sul in Brazil, where 5 people have died after contracting leptospirosis. 54 more cases have been confirmed. The disease is transmitted through water contaminated with infected animal urine, like rats. The southern state was battered by heavy rains in recent weeks, triggering landslides and heavy flooding. At least 165 people have lost their lives and hundreds of thousands displaced. And as the 469 municipalities in Rio Grande do Sul set out to rebuild what is lost or damaged in the floods, many areas are still underwater, raising concerns from health authorities. The state's health departments issued a statement warning residents of the dangers of floodwater mixed with sewage, including the spread of diseases like hepatitis A and leptospirosis. There are 800 suspected cases of leptospirosis, with patients showing symptoms that include fever, muscle aches, and nausea followed by vomiting. Recovery and rescue efforts are ongoing, and as floodwaters recede, the full extent of the damage in Brazil's southernmost state is being revealed. In Saudi Arabia, as the kingdom opens itself up to the world in keeping with its Vision 2030, where the focus is on economic diversification, global engagement and enhanced quality of life, there are a lot of firsts for the country. Like this all-female psychedelic rock band called Sira. And whilst their sound is unfamiliar to Saudi Arabia, they're bridging the gap by bringing in traditional Arabic melodies, a nod to their Saudi heritage and culture. Our BGTN correspondent Kaka Ngofe has more.
We are Sira, and we're so excited to show you guys what we've been cooking up the past month.
The band members are all Saudi nationals and say the music scene has been growing underground for many years.
This has been happening in the underground for as long as for the longest time. For example, people mistakenly think that we are the first female band from Saudi, but we're actually not. We're the first female band to be so public.
The band based in Riyadh says the music is changing to appeal to a younger audience, and they hope they can be an inspiration to them.
This is actually a message to the younger generations. I know that everything is so new, and there are a lot of people passionate about music, and it's a way of life. And I really want want Sira to be an inspiration for the younger generation to allow themselves to self-express, and that it's okay to look, act, behave the way you want, as long as you're not harming anyone, really. That's all it is.
Though speech and political activities in the kingdom remain tightly governed, there's gradual growth in the artistic sphere.
Things have become definitely better, more towards inclusivity in a broader perspective and in a broader way. So there's definitely room for more growth. Typically the younger generation, I would say, would be the most to benefit from this in a 100% kind of way. But because we're, from the older generations, so we kind of got the both sides of things. And I think that contributed to our creative growth, actually, in a big way.
Sarah will soon release their debut album and has plans to perform in Dubai later this year. For BGTN, I'm Kaka Ngofe.
And here's a cute story. China's sending 2 giant pandas to the United States, signaling a new era of panda diplomacy. This despite soaring tensions between the 2 superpowers, heightened by US threats of secondary sanctions on Beijing over the Russia war and steep tariff increases on several Chinese imports. Beijing's close ties with Moscow are frowned upon by Washington, with the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken accusing China of supporting the Russian war machine. Though he did not accuse the country of supplying weapons outright, he has alleged that China is providing critical components. China's been using so-called panda diplomacy since 1972. That's when the first pandas were sent to America as a gift, following then-President Richard Nixon's historic visit to the communist nation. As the United States' small population of giant pandas dwindles, there's much excitement building ahead of the arrival of the pair, named Bao Li and Qing Bao, under a 10-year breeding and research agreement. The White House, more specifically the First Lady Jill Biden, is delighted and has welcomed the news. Coming up, BRICS Plus Business News.
Coming soon on BRICS Global Television.
What was your moment in prison when you were like, I don't want to do this anymore?
I was 21 years old when I took my first life in prison. I had 1 star on my shoulder. By the age of 25, I became the first star general of the 28s, meaning that I had 4 stars on both my shoulders. I had taken 8 people's lives.
In BRICS Plus Business News, we begin in Saudi Arabia, where the country is turning its focus to the gaming industry as it continues with efforts to diversify its economy beyond oil. With its sights set on becoming a global hub for the sector, it's aggressively pursuing investments in gaming companies. Under Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's Vision 2030 program, the kingdom has allocated $38 billion to expand its gaming industry. The investment drive includes acquiring stakes in prominent gaming companies such as Capcom, Nintendo, Activision Blizzard and Electronic Arts. Savvy, a subsidiary of the Public Investment Fund, has already made significant acquisitions, including Sweden's Embracer and Scopely, the US mobile games company behind Monopoly Go. In addition to acquisitions, Saudi Arabia is actively involved in esports, with Savvy acquiring tournament organizer ESL Gaming and the platform Fasalt. Saudi Arabia sees esports as a gateway to establishing the kingdom as a key player in the gaming industry, with ambitious targets to create gaming companies, generate game-related jobs and produce blockbuster games by 2030. In China, the country's experienced a good first quarter, outperforming government's GDP growth target of 5% for 2024, achieving 5.3% in Q1. That's a 0.1% increase compared to the last quarter of 2023. Our partners in China filed this report.
China has just released its growth rate for the first quarter in 2024, which is 5.3%, well above market expectations, as the world's second largest economy has gotten off a robust start and laid a solid foundation for the economy to achieve the preset goal of growing by around 5% for the whole year. The growth rate, underpinned by solid growth in export and robust growth in high-tech industrial output, meant China's economy remains the healthiest among major economies and continued to play a leading role to drive global economic recovery, Chinese analysts said. The data, significantly higher than the average forecast of 4.6% by economists polled by Reuters, reflected the resilience of the Chinese economy and attractiveness of its vast consumer market and manufacturing goods, which also offers a strong rebuttal to some Western media's narrative of Chinese economy reaching its peak. As the statistics came out, China's top economic planner, the National Development and Reform Commission, announced a series of stimulus measures to further boost the economy. Supportive efforts, including facilitating investment plans through the central budget and promoting additional treasury bond issuance, are part of the government's work plan to consolidate growth for the rest of the year. While there are lingering challenges, mainly due to a complicated external environment, inadequate demand, and weak social expectations for the economy, the country's economic development in the long run remains solid, with steady progress being made, thanks to the supportive policies and consumption upgrades, among other factors.
Businesses in southern Brazil are assessing the damage caused by recent historic floods. Rio Grande do Sul, one of the country's richest states, was particularly hard hit by the weeks of heavy downpours, leaving large swathes of land unusable and factories unable to operate. The picture is grim. According to a local industry federation, 9 out of 10 factories have been affected. Gadeo Pereira, president of the Federation of Farmers of Rio Grande do Sul, says no one has had losses like we are seeing now. There's widespread destruction, mainly in the central regions of the state. One of the most pressing issues to get businesses back on their feet is to get roads and bridges rebuilt to restore mobility. The federal government has extended a line of credit of 15 billion reais, that's $2.9 billion, with low interest rates and the option to renegotiate existing debt. But with the high cost involved in make farmland fertile again, producers will likely need more loans. And there's the ever-present risk of farmers quitting the business altogether. They're calling for contingency plans to deal with climate change, having suffered during years of drought and now the recent floods.
For many, dance in Africa is a rich cultural expression, serving various purposes like entertainment and religious rituals. However, over thousands of years, dance in Africa has been used as a secret way to communicate, sometimes during birth and death, frequently to each other, and at times directly to the gods.
Hello, I'm Yolanda Pondo with your BRICS Plus Sports Update. In Saudi Arabia, Cristiano Ronaldo has set a new record for the most goals in a Saudi Pro League season, netting his 34th and 35th goals during Al Nassr's final match of the campaign. Following the game, the 39-year-old Portuguese forward tweeted, "I don't follow the records follow me." Ronaldo, a former Real Madrid and Manchester United star, scored just before halftime and again in the 69th minute with a header as Al Nassr defeated Al Ittihad 4-2 at home on Monday. The previous record of 34 goals in a single season was held by Moroccan Abderrazak Hamdallah in 2018 to 2019. Despite Al Nassr's second-place finish, trailing champions Al Hilal by 14 points, Ronaldo's performance was remarkable. Joining Al Nassr in December 2022 amidst a wave of foreign players signing lucrative contracts, Ronaldo continues to excel, earning a spot in Portugal's squad for the upcoming Euros, marking his 11th international tournament. He remains the most capped player in men's international football, boasting 206 appearances and a record 128 goals. Cricket fans are in for a treat with the 2024 T20 World Cup coming up this weekend. India and South Africa, both BRICS Plus members, will compete against 6 other nations: England, Pakistan, New Zealand, Australia, the Netherlands and Sri Lanka. Our BGTN sports correspondent Ben Ricordo takes a look.
He hit that very well.
The 2024 Cricket T20 Men's World Cup will see the first ball being bowled on the 1st of June. This is where the co-host USA go up against their neighbors Canada. The first match will be taking place at the Grand Prairie Stadium in Dallas, Texas. US will be witnessing the finals going down in Barbados at the Bridgetown.
This time though,
BRICS and an African representative in the T20 World Cup, South Africa, will open their group stage match against Sri Lanka. And cricket lovers and fans all over the world are expecting a barnstorming performance at Nassau County International Cricket Stadium in New York on the 3rd of June. Cricket fever will be at its peak on the 9th of June as the much anticipated clash between India and Pakistan take place at the same venue.
and gets it. 600 for KL Rahul in one-day international cricket. He got the opportunity because of the spasm to Shreyas Iyer and grabs it.
But if you ask me, who will win the T20 World Cup, I will say the West Indies. Bearing in mind that there are great countries like New Zealand, England and Australia who can spoil the party at any given moment.
And he might have done it as well. 5 times 50 over men's World Cup champions, a team that can never ever be written off. And they've finally got their hands on a men's T20 World Cup trophy, and it is richly deserved.
For BGTN Sport, I am Ben Ricordo.
Brazil has won its bid to hold the 2027 Women's World Cup. It's at least some good news for the country that's reeling from the devastating floods in Rio Grande do Sul in the south. Here's our Brazil correspondent Chris Goldenbaum with that story.
Female football was forbidden in Brazil for 40 years. It was only in the 1980s that women were allowed to play the sport professionally. By then, Brazil's male team was already a 3-time world champion and had the best player in football history, Pelé.
The market outlook for women's soccer began to change a little in 2016. Let's put it this way. When Rio de Janeiro hosted the Olympic Games, right? The athletes went all the way to the semi-finals, competed, played out, the stadiums filled up. Then came the 2019 World Cup in France, in which Brazil also ended up being eliminated in the 16th round, but also had a campaign that filled the eyes of the fans here in Brazil. So I think the scenario starts to change in 2019 onwards. Because of the results of the World Cup, the results of the ticket sales, the audiences here in Brazil, it was the first time that Open TV showed the World Cup to the fans, bringing a greater reach, greater publicity.
From 2019, the Brazilian Football Federation made it mandatory for the male clubs playing in the first division to also have a professional women's team. This brought significant development. The era of women's football now gained a new exciting chapter. The Football International Federation has confirmed Brazil as the host of the 2027 Women's Football World Cup. Brazil hosted the Male World Cup in 2014, so most of the infrastructure is already in place. This means the event can be fully focused on the sport itself and its development. Brazil's women's national tournament is growing in media visibility and attendance. Yet, despite most clubs investing in their female counterparts, they are still not a priority.
I think that the World Cup in Brazil brings visibility to the pioneers, to those who started out, who paved the way. And also, it affects the sport economically, because if we play good games, we have good campaigns. We'll attract even more fans. And it's especially important for children. For a long time here in Brazil, we were a country that didn't have a base for training athletes. The clubs didn't offer, as they do for men's clubs, the training for the female athletes. For girls who wanted to play ball, when she's 5, she plays at school. When she's 11, where can she go beyond school to play sport? There aren't enough schools for women's sports here in Brazil.
Legendary athletes such as Marta, considered the queen of football, had to leave their homes as teenagers to find a place where they could live out their passion of playing football. They now hope their stories will pave the way for future queens of football. Chris Goldenbaum, BGTN, São Paulo, Brasil.
And as the curtain falls on yet another riveting Indian Premier League tournament, with Kolkata Knight Riders clinching their 3rd IPL title, selectors will no doubt be dissecting every game to identify future stars. Here are 5 players bound to get some attention in the future. Jake Fraser-McGurk from Australia, the 22-year-old Australian showcased fearless batting for Delhi Capitals, impressing legends like Ricky Ponting and Sourav Ganguly. His explosive debut IPL season earned him a spot as a reserve for Australia's T20 World Cup squad. Abhishek Sharma from India, Sharma, a 23-year-old left-hander, played a pivotal role in Hyderabad's journey to the final, amassing 484 runs in 16 matches and contributing with his left-arm spin. England's Will Jacks, the batting all-rounder's standout performance for Royal Challengers Bangalore, earned him a spot in England's World Cup squad. His century against Gujarat Titans showcased his destructive prowess. Tristan Stubbs from South Africa, despite his team's disappointing season, the 23-year-old emerged as the top finisher with an impressive strike rate in the final overs, drawing praise from cricket pundits. And Sri Lanka's Matisha Patirana, known as Baby Malinga, the 21-year-old fast bowler, made an impact for Chennai Super Kings before a hamstring injury sidelined him. Expected to lead Sri Lanka's attack in the upcoming World Cup, he has drawn comparisons to legendary bowler Lasith Malinga. That's it from me. I'll be back again on Monday with more BRICS Plus daily sports news updates.
Seconds came about. I've been working on human trafficking stories recently. I've been doing documentaries. It was just like, are we doing enough? It was a campaign that was, let's challenge ourselves, let's get it out there, let's try and reach as much people as possible.
130 people are trafficked all around the world per hour. So every 22 seconds, someone is being trafficked. 22 seconds could be your walk from a school gate inside the school. It could be your walk from your house to the bus station. It's just a short distance.
This campaign is a campaign that is set to raise awareness, to show the severity of this crime that's happening around us. I'm hoping that it will get society to speak about it. It will get communities, governments and organizations to come together and tackle this. I'm hoping that it will get the young girl, the young boy to understand the dangers that we live around. And we're speaking to schools so that
Children are also aware of this. Teachers are aware, because also teachers play a vital role into seeing kids that they teach that this child was not like this. The campaign is running for a month, but that's not where our work will end. We will continue campaigning and we will continue moving towards our goal of getting 22 million signatures.
You can share the campaign firstly on social media using the hashtags 22 seconds not for sale, hashtag 22 seconds empower change, because we are empowering change. Please sign the petition. The whole idea also behind the petition is that once we reach 22 million signatures, we will take it to the UN. It is up to us to raise awareness and show human trafficking that it has no place in our society.
And finally, waste collection in South Africa is being helped along through the entrepreneurial efforts of individuals who collect, sort and then sell various items picked from waste collection points. BGTN reporter Lebo Masika takes a look at what the work entails and how trash is turned into cash.
Johannesburg, the heartbeat of South Africa. Amidst the hustle and bustle, there's a community that turns the city's waste into wealth. Meet the waste collectors, individuals who see value where others see trash. It's a meticulous process. Sorting through heaps of trash, they separate materials that can be sold to recycling companies. But this work comes with immense challenges. Health risks, societal stigma, and inadequate support make it a constant struggle. Despite the hardships, there's hope. Many waste pickers dream of better futures for themselves and their families.
I used to hustle by collecting waste in KZN, but moved to Joburg because they used to laugh at us for collecting waste. After 2 years of being in Joburg, I started with my hustle again.
It actually started when I lost job. I couldn't get employed and I was looking for a job opportunity and I had a family to look after. And that's when I saw some number of people surviving, pulling trolleys. I started as a trolley puller and I joined them there. I grew up my business. I started buying my first vehicle. I bought my second vehicle, my third vehicle from collecting waste, and I'm feeding my family.
Waste collectors play a crucial role in our recycling chain. Without them, much of this material would end up in landfills, adding to environmental problems. Beyond the hard work, there's a strong sense of community. Organizations such as Waste Aid collaborate with waste collectors to improve waste management systems, enhance recycling efforts, and provide better livelihoods for those involved in the informal waste sector.
Takes a long period of time to get towards success, but the success story is that particularly in Diepsloot, within this closed ecosystem, last year we onboarded 20 wastepreneurs who went through 3 months training and their mentorship ahead of pitching for resources, and because of that, revisiting their work on site in communities, we've seen a growth in collection of tonnage of waste across waste streams and changing perceptions of people in community. You know, there's a perception that waste collectors just are on the streets, can't make a living. But when they have formalized to some degree, or at least organized themselves, their income increases because their tonnage increases and human behavior within the community changes as well.
In a world where waste is often overlooked, these men and women remind us of the value hidden within. they turn trash into cash. And in doing so, they turn struggle into survival, and survival into hope. Lebo Masike, BGTN, Johannesburg, South Africa.
And that's your BRICS Plus Weekly Roundup. Join us again on Monday for our daily news roundup. Until then, check out our website and social media for updates.